Hi everyone, Monica Bodierski here, artist and author of the Shadowland Tarot and the 5th edition of the House of Shadows Lenormand, which of course means there were 4 editions before then. Each one kind of a limited edition, not to imply I've sold thousands, but I'm really happy that so many people keep asking for the next edition. If you don't already know or have any of those, each subsequent edition has 6 expansion cards that are different. And, well, somebody suggested, and I see we think alike, that I just put together a whole deck of expansion cards, which I probably will. I'm having a lot of fun drawing things, and I'm currently working on another project, but I will definitely keep that in mind. So today, I'm going to talk about fear. Fear. Ooh. Whew. Need to breathe just thinking about fear. And no, I'm not kidding. If you are sensitive about spiders or other creatures like snakes and you'd rather not hear about them, maybe skip this video because it's going to be part of the discussion today. I'm going to talk about the most common fear, believe it or not, that all humans have. And you may say, well, of death and dying alone, or horrid accidents, never falling in love. Those are probably very valid fears, and many people have them. But I hear that arachnophobia is pretty much the number one fear. Now, I know folks who feel that way, and I got this really nice email from someone who wanted to buy the Shadowland Tarot and maybe even the House of Shadows Lenormand, but she mentioned that she had arachnophobia. Well, I had a little conversation with Morgan, and I shared that, even though I drew spiders in my deck, I'm not really that fond of them, and it was a way for me to get over my own dislike. We'll just call it that. I like to, for myself anyway, diminish that a little bit so it doesn't get larger. When I was a kid, I didn't really think twice about spiders. We spent a lot of time up north in northern Ontario, and there were a lot of spiders. One in particular called the wolf spider, which is a cousin to the tarantula, meaning it's not that small and it's equally hairy and it's predatory. It's generally known as a funnel web spider, which is a hunting spider. I wasn't bothered that much by them. I had a few encounters though, and an older brother who liked to tease and tell me that they would basically come and eat me at night. So, for those of you curious, this is in fact why this particular card in my deck has got a few, I'm sorry, what did Morgan call them? Bungee jumping lice. We're going to call them that for Morgan in this video because that's how she'd like to look at them, for now. And that's one way to tackle this. Call it something else. See, I just did it. I don't even like to use that phobia word because I'll just call it dislike. Sometimes changing the language can help. I also have a couple of bungee jumping lice in the Four of Wands card, which is traditionally about a celebration or marriage, getting together with someone, settling down. A couple of fun-loving bungee jumping lice. So I thought, there are many fears out there, especially now during COVID. And phobias are generally speaking things that are not rational. We're not talking about, if I go out late at night, I'm afraid I might get lost when driving because I don't have great night vision. That's valid. That's a valid concern. That's not really a phobia, I don't think. I think it only crosses into that territory when it starts to interfere with our everyday lives or creates such heightened anxiety that we don't even know what to do. You know what else is a big fear? Snakes. Apparently number 2 next to spiders is snakes. And, heights, water. We have so many anxieties about things that I believe are very strongly rooted in our ability to survive. Spiders and snakes were poisonous. Being afraid of them was probably a really wise thing and still is, depending on where you live. It just maybe gets blown out of proportion when we're anxious about other things, and it's understandable right now. So what I thought I'd do is I would shuffle and pull 3 cards to help you, and maybe help me in the process. Heck, why not, right? How do we tackle phobias or fears? Beyond just everyday anxiety, I think. But really, how would we look at things that stop us from enjoying life? I want to mention before I get to the cards, one great thing to do is create essential oil blends. Yeah, I do that. I do that a fair bit. I don't sell these, but I've made them for myself and for my friends. I do have a very good sense of smell. If you don't, maybe this isn't going to affect you to the same extent. But I made this particular blend called Fearless to deal with anxiety. If you want to know the recipe for this, I will dredge it up, drop me a line, or go to my website. I'll post it, and you can just take the recipe if you're big into essential oils like I am, okay? Oh, and the other thing I wanted to mention was Morgan asked me as well if in the House of Shadows Lenormand there were those bungee jumping lights, and I said only one, and only one, and that's this woman card who's walking this cute little critter. Okay, again, my way of dealing with that. I forgot to mention this last summer too. I don't know. Occasionally there are years where those 8-legged creatures are particularly, prolific in their breeding habits, or the eggs all made it to hatching and they're all over the place and they get really substantial for some reason. Well, I don't recall ever having these. We have this little tiny cabin out back. It's my little witchy cabin. I don't ever recall there being really large bugs in there, and I clear it out every spring and make sure it's for the most part there's nothing ever in there. This last summer, however, I noticed that there were some very large strange webs in some corners, and I thought I'll just clean out, and I saw the size of one of the residents, and for the first time since I was very young, had that gripping kind of a paralyzing fear. And I thought, how odd. I'm not usually like that. So I went inside and I thought, well, I'm just going to clean out the webs and, they'll just scatter. So I went to clear out one because it was at the window and it was sort of tucked into the frame. I saw a little bit of webbing and I thought, no big deal, there's nothing there. Ha ha! So I went and I started to, wipe the web. And unfortunately, there was an inhabitant and it jumped out at me, and no, I'm not kidding. And you have never heard a grown woman shriek like this. It took me a while to figure out after I ran out of the cabin. And by the way, the crafty 8-legged creature of which I speak ran out of the cabin too. And I saw it. I mean, it was big enough for me to see it run into the grass. And when I went back in there, I saw it creeping back towards the door. No lie. I will finish this story some other time as to what I did. Part 2 of the serial continues. But what it made me stop to think about was, I think I'm trying to exercise those particular concerns of mine, even though they don't occupy my day-to-day thoughts. And I guess it just became really exaggerated with this pandemic and other anxieties, because it's not normally how I feel about things, or it was so tucked into my subconscious. Anyway, here are the 3 cards I chose out of my deck after shuffling. And yes, I don't actually pull these and, sneak around cards. So here, for those of you dealing with phobias, okay, and fears, gripping fears, not just the day-to-day concerns and anxieties, although maybe if we look at those and use these 3 cards as a way to get around those or face them. Yes, it's a shadow word deck. Welcome to Shadowland. Not so scary once we shed light onto a few things like our fears. So the first card that I pulled was the Death card. Now you might say, oh, great. That's it, Monica. I'll think about death. That'll really calm things down. No, I think the message of this card is think about death in relation to, let's just say, spiders. Are they going to kill you? Or are you going to actually die? It may feel that way, but in a cool, calm, quiet state, think about it. Are they really? Not likely. We're a lot bigger. We're a lot quicker, last I checked. Okay? Also, death is holding a little nest with life in it. To me, that's very much about understanding that it's a cycle, and that at times we'll be more afraid, and at times it'll just disappear. And it's okay. It's okay. We all have those kind of fears, So looking at it that way calmly, maybe they'll just dissipate a little bit. The next card I pulled was the 6 of Wands, which, as some of you may recall, the 6 of Wands is about team effort and working together to achieve victory. I think that just means there's lots of folks out there who feel the same way. Maybe find a community or a group or talk it out with people. Just go to conversations or Zooms or even one-on-one if you like, and talk it out. Sometimes these fears get really exaggerated when we're not discussing them at all. We're just kind of stuffing it back there. Like I did. I didn't even realize I was, getting kind of creeped out by these creatures again. And that had been, we know I'm a little older than the average 20-year-old, so we won't say how many years. So give that a try, Think about, you're not alone. There's a whole community of people out there who are afraid of things too, and it's okay, and talk it out. And the last card that I got was the 4 of Cups, which is this kind of emotional boredom and blah, blah, because it seems the more you think it over and the more you think about it and the more you think about it, you're desensitizing your brain to that reaction. Of course, do that in your own way and make sure you're not putting yourself into panic attack. Maybe that desensitization with just a teeny bit of exposure, just a quick thought, and then maybe glancing at a cartoon image where it's relatively safe because you can remove yourself right away, right? Maybe that'll help. So those 3 cards together are offering advice to all of us for facing fears. So in the coming weeks, if you find your anxiety heightened, remember, it's okay. It's a cycle. These things come and go. It's not going to stay that way forever. You're not alone. And you know what? After a while of thinking about it, it'll probably just lose its grip on you. So, from Shadowland, thank you very much for watching this video. Remember, subscribe, hit that little bell notification, comment below if you want to share some fears or if this helped you at all. By all means, email me. I always leave all that information there. And again, if you want to find the recipe for Fearless, I'll post it on my website. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful week. Stay safe, stay happy, and till next time, stay fearless. Bye-bye.